Welcome to A Brush with Color, the fifth and final week of our watercolor painting series. My name is Charlene, and I'll be taking you through this exercise. This week, we'll be pulling together all of the techniques we've learned throughout our lessons. Painting this hummingbird is a wonderful metaphor of how you have transformed from never having painted before to accomplishing 6, now 7 fabulous paintings, and being able to embrace your watercolor adventure. The more you paint, the better you'll get. So be sure to use the pages in your book to practice your newfound skills. If you're looking for inspiration, simply turn to YouTube to engage any of the thousands of beginner and intermediate tutorials. And of course, just a reminder to stop and start this video as you need, or slow down, speed up as works best for you. Okay, let's take a look at our tools. We've got our reference photo, our small brush, our kneaded eraser, our image traced onto our 140-pound watercolor paper, cold press. We've got our palette, which is the dish that our paints sit on. We have our paints, also known as pigments. We've got our water container. We have our spritzer bottle. We have a couple of new things this time. We have our masking fluid, also known as drawing gum, that you can get very easily on Amazon or any painting or craft store. I'm going to use the toothpick to apply the masking fluid. As we start with every painting, we're going to use our kneaded eraser and we're going to roll it over top of our image so that the lines lighten up and they will not show through on our painting. Okay, that looks great. Easy. Just another reminder to put this in its container, or here's the container that this one comes in, also available on Amazon. If you do not have a container, just wrap it up in saran wrap and it will live a long, healthy life. Alrighty, let's start with the masking fluid. Rule number 1, do not shake your masking fluid. To mix it, just turn it gently around like this, because otherwise you end up with a bunch of bubbles and it's really hard to apply. In this instance, I'm going to use a toothpick because we want only a little bit of masking fluid. We don't need to use our brush. If you look at the reference photo, we have a white dot on the eye that we would prefer not to paint over. And that is what masking fluid does. If you want to block out any section or part of your painting, then you can use masking fluid to just, here we go, I'm just putting a wee little bit on here, just a little dab. And this will turn into like a rubbery substance attached to the paper, and we can paint right over top of that. And after, when we're completed our painting, we just roll it off and it will have the white underneath it. And I'm going to just do a little itty bit of white around here because that's kind of cool for your eye to block some of that out. If you're using a brush, it's really important that you wet it and you coat it with a liquid soap. Then dip it into the masking fluid. Otherwise, you'll ruin your brush. Once you're completed, make sure you wash that brush immediately, or like I said, you will ruin your brush. I almost forgot my paper towel. Of course, paper towel is one of our primary tools. Now, we were using the microfiber cloth the last couple of days, but my husband washed it and put it somewhere I can't find it. I'm going to take a moment to study this design and decide how I want to go forward and paint it. I'm going to start in this area of the bird. We're going to do wet on wet, and I'll complete a wet coating throughout the entire bird and into this wing only. I won't work on this wing yet. I'm going to make sure that I do not put any water on the eye. So wet on wet. Just reach into your water container. Get your water and cover that hummingbird from top to bottom. Although do not wet the beak. We're going to wet the base of the beak, but not the actual beak itself. We don't want too much water because then we have blobs, but we want enough water that we can coat this and it becomes very shiny so that the water will flow. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go up into the wing. And not this wing, because this is the wing that is behind. And you may recall in our last lessons that we were painting mountains that were closer and farther. And this wing is closer, so it's going to be darker. And this wing is behind, so it's going to be lighter. And in doing so, oh, I got a little bit of water outside of the beak. We don't want it to flow outside. So in painting, we're going to make sure that this wing is darker. Okay, and we have sections of our bird. I've got the head, the neck, the lower neck, the belly, the side, the lower side, and the wing and the tail. So we're going to mix our colors so that we're showing the prominent areas accordingly. All right, I feel good about this. Now, I really love this green. I'm going to activate our blue and yellow, and that is going to make a beautiful green. So let's do a puddle right in the middle, and our Hansa yellow. And wash your brush between, or you end up with a murky yellow. Isn't that a beautiful green? Woo! The blue, ultramarine, and Hansa yellow. It's a little bit more vibrant than when we were using the undersea green and the yellow. Yes. So we've wet our bird. Let's just test it on our paper first. That's pretty nice. I'm going to do just to make it a little bit more vibrant, a little more blue. It's very foresty, very bright foresty, maybe even a Kelly green. Okay, I just wanted it to be a little more rich in value. All right. And oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so we're just gonna get into that, the head of the hummingbird, and just dab it around, and it will go around the eye. This paper is very textured, so it is going to show a lot of texture, a lot of definition. And if we want to lose some of that, we're going to have to go over several times. But we're just starting with one wet layer. Oh, yeah. It's going to be beautiful. Clean and dry our brush. And I'm going to take a little bit of blue and put it over on this side. I want just a wee bit of more of a turquoisey color. So this I'm going to grab and water this a bit. Blue and the undersea green. We'll make a nice light blue turquoise. Let's see. Oh yes, that's a nice difference. I'm just going to mix it onto the page. I'm going to take a bit more blue and mix it with my neutral. Ah, that's the color I'm looking for. That is a nice color. And I'm just going to mix that, bring that in, and dab it into the body of the bird. That is nice. It's hard to tell exactly what that's going to look like, but we have some light color in here, and what I learned from our teacher Cindy is to just leave some of that actually without any paint on it, just some white paper. Gonna bring some of that blue, which has some richer neutral in it, so kind of like an indigo, and just bring that down and do wisps into the tail. Oh, look at those wisps. Hold your brush a little bit farther up the handle and just pull that down. We don't have to go exactly like this. We can make it really beautifully wispy however we choose. This is the first layer, so don't worry, we'll be coming back with a darker layer. I'm going to use this neutral and ultramarine blue again. Take some more of it, mix it up, and just bring this into the top of the wing. We don't want it to be dark throughout. We just want the top of the wing to be dark, and then again we're going to do our wisps. Hold our brush a little farther up on the handle. Make sure you don't have too much water. Dab the water and just wisp, 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 wisp. Drag that down. Wisp with the point of your brush. Wisp, 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 wisp. There we go. That's our first nice layer. All right. Oh, this green has kind of made it a bit, this eye looks a little hexagonal as opposed to round. So we're just going to go around, and remember, whatever we do paint on that eye, there's going to be that white that's going to show, and if at the afterwards we don't like that white, we paint over it, but we're going to like that white. Let's let this dry a bit and move up to the beak area so that we can take advantage of the dampness of the base of the beak so that the neutral can bleed into that. I'm going to use the blue. You can see that I didn't clean off my brush, so we need to clean off our brush, get some neutral, get a neutral color going, lots of neutral. So we want it to be rich, rich, rich in pigment. the beak is all black, but you could do it so that it's a black blue, which I kind of like, rather than it being 100% black. Let's see. Yeah. So that's a nice dark color. Okay. And turn our book around. I'm just going to dab into the beak, the base of the beak. See how it just drew that in there? I'm going to dry off some of that water, get some 100% neutral. Oops, and just come back, and don't worry if your beak isn't completely straight. You can see how this beak is quite thick, quite a bit thicker than your line may be. We'll come back later on this anyway. I like my beaks to be a bit thinner, but sometimes that's hard to do. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's raining outside today. There's a flash flood warning. Oh, make that little end. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. See how it's blending? We've got a little blending going into our head of our hummingbird. You may or may not like that. If it's too dark, you can lift it up and then lighten that off a little later. I'm going to leave that right now, let that all dry. I want some brighter green in here, but it's still very wet. Rainy days are perfect painting days, aren't they? Oh, just as like, it almost feels like I have a blanket around me when I'm painting on a rainy day. Just makes me so happy. Right. I'm just going to put in a little bit darker green, a little bit more green in there. Just let it blend around still with the dampness of the water that's still on there. Get some more in through here. Yeah. This is going to dry so beautifully. Not sure if I've ever really seen a green hummingbird, but this one is green and blue and turquoise. It'll blend right into the trees for sure, so that predators won't get it. And if you look online and look for South American hummingbirds, you will see the most brilliantly colored birds you may have ever seen in your life. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. A little bit more neutral in there. Make that a little deeper, richer. Bring that along here. Remember, we only did layer 1. We're kind of into layer 2 now. Just going to darken that up in here. And the hummingbird is typically the wing, the top of the wing, of course, is very dark, and then the rest of it is light, almost transparent. Hummingbirds have an unbelievably fast motion when they're flapping their wings. There's a wonderful documentary, Attenborough, I think it's on Netflix, where you can watch all these hummingbirds from South America mostly, and how they migrate. Unbelievable, and how fast they actually flap their wings. Okay, that looks really nice. Might want to just lift this a little bit. The water has pooled here. The water and paint has pooled, so it's made it quite dark where I don't want it to be dark. Let's leave this right now. Maybe pull in a little bit more of this blue. It's dark blue, green. Do some more down here. Wisp up that tail. Oof, that is so beautiful. You are gonna love this. Okay, I just need to have this dry. When it dries, we'll come back and we'll define that wing span. This one here is connected to the back and just flows into the back, whereas this one has more of a definition that separates it from the back, even though the colors blend in. Okay, while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna work on our leaves. Clean up our palette. Just for the purposes of this demonstration so that you can see it, I'm going to put a little bit of undersea green here, just a dab of it here so it's close to my yellow. That way I don't have to zoom out on the video. I activated the undersea green and the Hansa yellow, and I'm gonna just do a puddle in here with these two colors. Oh, that is pretty. You know what I want is I want it to be a little bit more on the blue side. Just a bit more. And I'm gonna activate my blue again, my ultramarine blue. Just give it a little spritz. And put that into, oh, look at that. Ooh, you got some nice colors going on today. That is a nice, deep blue-green. Yes. And different enough, I think, from the green we put into our hummingbird to differentiate it. Okay, let's start. Your reference photos may be a little bit different from your tracing. And so we might have to make it up a little bit as we go along. And we've got some pretty looking leaves along here. I really want it to be a little darker green than that, a little more blue green. So I'm going to add some more blue. Yeah. Dot that on your paper towel. Check out your reference. Where are those leaves? Got some here. I'm going to use mostly the point of my brush. Remember when we did those right at the very beginning of our lessons? We did the leaves that went like this, point down, up. We can make some of those here. You got to really make sure you got lots of pigment on the belly of your brush. The only thing with that is it tends to cover up the whole leaf. I like to have a little bit of white showing in this particular painting. Turn your Yeah, let's just turn our book around so that we can get a good angle and not mess up our drying hummingbird. Oop. We can straighten that guy out. The stem is the same color. In this particular image, you'll notice that the leaves are not staggered. They are, in fact, side by side, which in some instances, that's how the plant grows. But in a lot of instances, the leaves are definitely staggered. This is the back wing, and we're just going to touch up against that wing. We're not going to paint over it or on it. Yeah, I like that when we have some white left in. That gives it a real watercolor feel to it, don't you think? Let's get some more pigment. Now this deep blue green is also called hooker green. I'm going to think that it's because of hooking fish rather than the other hooker, because I can't imagine any correlation there. It's a really beautiful color, and you can get it Winsor Newton or Daniel Smith. Okay, I'll move this around. Got some stems coming down in here. Got a little bit of a stem coming out of this section here. Don't need to touch the actual beak. Again, we'll be coming back in here and fixing up that black beak. And we've got some here. Let's do a full little relief. There we go. And this guy as well, it's a leaf. We're just pick up some more pigment. Bring the stem in. I have a lot of kind of loose stems in here. I'm gonna just make some squigglies going around this way. And not to be a harsh line, just kind of a light, using the tip of your brush and bringing them through. Make a leaf here, make some leaves coming out this way, twist them around. Coming down. I don't really see a leaf. We see some pink here, but no leaf in our tracing. But we have a lot of pink around this area. So, and I see some leaves here. It's kind of odd, isn't it? That the tracing is quite a bit different than the reference photo, but that's good because then it gives you the opportunity to be creative. And since this guy probably needs to have some branch or stem coming down from it, I'm just going to put a little bit in there. It doesn't have to be an actual leaf. It can be a suggestion of a leaf, an illusion of a leaf. Got a leaf coming here. Just do a nice swishy leaf from this area. And down here. Yeah, got it coming between the feathers, which might be okay. We've got some pink in here, pink in there. Got some stems coming out. Just doing some swishes. Again, they could be leaves, they could be stems. I'll come back and clarify that. Well, we could clarify it right now. Put a little bit more darker in here. Yeah. And then we'll come back and do more with it. Nice, beautiful. Wait till the pink. Wait till we add the pink. Oh my gosh, it's going to be gorgeous. Gorgeous. Blue, yellow, undersea green. That deep. Again, you can see how the blues have separated right on the page between the green and the blue. I want some more. I can work some more on these leaves while I'm mixing this. They're drying, which is good. I'm making some more of that beautiful dark blue-green. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at this. Wow, that is stunning. Okay. Just come in here and do a little bit more. I'm going to assume that our light is coming from this way, and I'll put some darker underneath. Yes, that's gorgeous. See, just do some veiny, darky. This painting is not 100% realistic, so you can see that we can do whatever we want or paint however we want our leaves to look. We don't need them to be exact. We're doing a lot of suggestion. We're doing a lot of color mixing. Yeah, look at that. Remember, I suggesting the light is coming from the top right down. And this one, where we have the folded over leaf, we're going to make this main section of the leaf darker. And then this section here, you can see that it's differentiated. The fold over is differentiated from the main base of the leaf, which is kind of cool. We're doing underneath, get some more pigment under. Get some more pigment under here. Oh, I ran my finger through it. That's okay. We just have a longer leaf, that's all. Yeah, that is so pretty. So pretty. I love this color. You can see on this one too, we've done a folded over leaf. And the darker portion is the part that's folded over. Just going to put a little bit of texture, a little bit of color in here. That's it. Okay. Oh, yeah, we wanted to fix this guy here. I'm going to make this again, just another little leaf in there to straighten that out. It'll look a lot nicer once we put the pink in. You can see that this is lighter. It's lighter, it's farther away, this wing that is behind this one. So let's take some of that nice bright green, some of that blue yellow, Can get rid of this blue-green now. Let's take some of the blue, although I probably should have started with yellow because it's easier to clean your brush. But blue was closer to my brush. I'm going to clean that off. Get to the yellow, make that beautiful bright green that we like so much. And I'm going to dab the water and just do a little bit along the top of that wing. Just a wee bit. I'm gonna actually pull most of it in, because then we can come back and do a nice blue over top of it. That is pretty. You can see that blue-green we did and this brighter green are quite different. Now you could have done the blue-green on here and the brighter green on there. It's always up to you. We want more of this blue-green, bluey green, strong blue-green. To add some on the back of the bird. Now that it's dried a bit, we'll just take some more, this darker, more intense value. Bring this along the back of the bird. Just light wisps, really light wisps. See, we'll have several layers. I'm going to bring this down along here because this will define the back from the wings, and some on this belly. This is going to be so beautiful when it dries. You are going to love it. But you might be doing yours in pinks and purples and yellows and blues and whatever it is that makes you happy in painting your hummingbird. A little darker at the base of the tail. Do a few more wisps with that beautiful dark, dark, dark color on top of the other one. Look at, we can see we've got different varying colors, varying blues, varying greens in here. And I'm feeling really happy not to have feathers that are spiked. I like mine to be a little more wispy. And put a little bit more wet value in here so it will bleed in together. And I'm leaving some of that white in there. I'm gonna soften up some of these lines with a damp, clean, damp brush. Yeah, I'm gonna, just soften those lines in here, maybe lighten that in here. Cover up a bit of that white. Nice. Of course, again, we're creating illusions. And what are we creating illusions of here? We're creating illusions of feathers. All right. And we're just going to take a bit more of that greeny blue, but not as bright. or not as intense as this here. I'm going to lighten that up with water and just bring some wisps through here. And that way we can tell that it's a wing, but it's behind the main wing, or behind the wing that's closest to us. There's that definition. I'm going to put just a little wispy in here because I love wisps on wings. Love wisps on wings. Wisps, wisps, wisp, wisp, wisp. All right, we're going to come back to the neutral. Now, if you have an issue with painting this straight, you can always use a marker, a fine line marker. We can do that with the eyes, and we can do it with the beak. But I'm going to use paint because I want it to blend a little bit more in that base of the beak. Isn't that nice? Just darken that guy up. Got it coming down here a bit. You don't necessarily want it to be as dark in that, because you want it to blend in a bit, be a little more gray. So pick some of that up. Okay. We're happy with that. What I'm going to do now is go to pink. So we need to change our water out. Clean our palette. And what color gives us pink? I like to mix red, Pyro Red, with the violet. Let's activate our red and purple. Red and purple. Okay, I've got some red here. I'm going to do it over here. Make a puddle of red. Some purple. Add the purple. Oh yes, that makes a nice deep rose. I love that color. What I would like to do first, though, is I'm going to wet the flower areas. So we're going to do wet on wet. Okay, wet. And the nice thing about this is I've wet it. It's got a little bit of that rose still on my brush when I wet it. Yeah. So it's just showing up to you as a light pink. Here's another one here. I'm gonna bring some rose there. Rose here, rose here. And then I'll come back to that. Notice there's a flower right at the end of the beak, which makes sense because it is a hummingbird, but it's not on your tracing, or it's not on mine anyway. It's possible that I missed that. All right, so I'm just doing some water there, and I'm going to just bring in some more rose, get some more pigment in there. Just dabbing that around the area. I don't want to put it too close to the beak because I don't want the beak to bleed into the rose. That's so nice. Such a nice contrasting color, isn't it? So it'll help our greens be greener, our blues be bluer. And that's just like a hummingbird, to just immerse itself in the middle of all the flowers, isn't it? These are soft lines. We don't really want hard lines with this, with these flowers, do we? Want them to be nice and soft. Doing a little bit more. That's too much water, so I'm going to soak some of that up. Wet the flowers. Got a flower. I'm going to put some flower over here because I can. Might look pretty there. From a design principle, it's good to have more than 2 of anything. So odd numbers. When I say more of 2, I mean odd numbers. So instead of just 2, have 3. Instead of 4, have 5. Instead of 6, have 7. Still wetting this. Wetting these flowers. We see there's his little feet right here. Or her little feet. I think it might be a gal, don't you? Okay, and then we have a bit here underneath. So we've got this guy here. I'm going to spread that over and then do a nice big, and put it right through this leaf so it comes over onto the other side of the leaf. Get some more pigment, dab it into there. And you'll notice some of these flowers don't have to be attached to stems. They just are. They just are flowers. Yeah, that's nice, hey? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that looks good coming through that leaf. It was a good call. Just breaks up the green a little bit. Pick up some of this. There's lots of water in here. But we want a little more pigment. And what is our pigment? Purple. It's a purple mix. Going to make it a little bit darker and just dab a bit in here. Purple and red. Yeah. Just a little bit darker so you can see there's some variation in the flowers. Just higher value of that pigment. Put a little bit around. We're just going to let it dry like that. Just dab it into the dampness of the flowers. Add some color, just some definition, and this guy's kind of got lost. He's drowned in the paper. That's looking nice. That's looking really pretty. Really pretty. I'm very happy with that. Now this one has a little bit of green in it, so we could do that. We made our blue green by blue, green, and yellow, didn't we? Pretty sure that was the blue green with more blue than green. Yeah, here we go. There we go. And then let's see what I got going on here. Need a little more blue. Yes, there we go. Just gonna dab a little wee bit in there. and the flowers so that we can kind of connect where the stem comes in. There's nothing more beautiful than connecting a stem with a flower, and this portion of the stem just soaks right into the flower. It's so natural. It's so natural. Let's do this guy here. I'm gonna just bring this down in here. Yep. Yeah. Don't want to ruin that. I don't like that at all. So I'm just going to bring my paper towel in and smush that a bit. Yep. And there we go. Oh, ooh, that's the beak. Ooh. Isn't that funny? There we go. Oh my gosh, this is looking so pretty. Just want a little bit of the blue. Just bring a little bit of blue in there. Pull that little bit of the blue in here so that we've got some differentiation in there. But I'm feeling good about this. I'm just gonna do the feet and the eye. Maybe touch up that beak a little bit. Needs to go black. Okay, let's work on the eye. We have a couple of colors on the eye. We've got the blue and that kind of that blue, deep blue green, and then we've got the black and the white, of course. And we have our masking fluid, remember, so we can paint over that and not be too concerned. So let's work on that blue-green. Get the blue. Grabbing that blue. We're using a lot of blue today, aren't we? That might be a really nice. See if I can get that pigment just a little thicker. I find it a bit harder to mix the pigment without a lot of water, but you have to in circumstances like this because you don't want it to be a big blob of water, do you? And don't worry if it's kind of blending in with the feathers of the bird, because we're going to be doing black around there. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to leave that for a moment and work on the beak again. And we're going to just go straight on neutral. You can see how this dark neutral is kind of flattened out. Doesn't look very bright at all, so very dark. It's going into the flower, so be careful. Okay, just doing some more black in there. And we can pull this black that has seeped into the flower off with a dry, clean, dry point of our brush. Yep. And I'm quite surprised that I don't have any variation, but not totally surprised because we know that watercolor is seeping right into this paper. So I'm going to grab a little bit more red and purple, mix that up a wee bit. A little bit more red. Woo! Now that is rich pigment. It is. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, yes. It's still damp enough where we can just tap into it and it will spread throughout the flower. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that is really pretty. Don't want it completely taking over the flower, just bits. I'll come back. Sometimes you get a fluff on the end of your brush. Just pull that off. Might need a magnifying glass to see it. Or some tweezers. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We're just gonna add some of that color, that rich color. These are a little bit drier in this area. I guess I didn't put as much water in these as I did in the other flowers. That is so pretty. And then I'm just gonna come back, dry off my brush. I'm just gonna clean and dry off my brush. This is a real stain in color, you can see. Just soften up some of those veins, because that's the way I like it. You might like the veins that seep through the paper. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Okay, this one is already seeped in all around. Yeah, we've got varying shades of the pink, which is what we wanted. This one we've lost almost everything there. Just want to soften up that hard line. Pull in just a wee bit, lift a wee bit of that. Give it some dimension in here as well. Okay. Very happy, very, very, very happy. Okay, so the eye has dried. Instead of using paint, I'm going to use my black micron pen, 0.01. So it's quite thin. And this way I can draw this eye in without creating too thick of a line. That's why I love these micron pens. See, watch. Look at how thin this pen is. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub off the masking fluid. I can just do that with my finger, my nail. There's also, you can also get an actual type of eraser. It's a architect's rubber eraser of some sort, and it will take that masking fluid right off. See that? Now you do notice that it's quite white around here because the masking fluid is pretty thick. So I'm going to go around. Around the eye. I'm going to make that pupil. Here we go. We're going to have that pupil. Going to be go circular. Put a little bit of black around there. You want to keep that white for sure. That is nice. Maybe even put a little wee bit into the beak to darken that up. Gonna let that dry and then put just a wee bit of blue back in there because we've lost it. I love using the micro pens because it really stands out. And I'm going to do the same with the feet. There you go. And we've got the feet that are hooking onto that stem. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this a nice bright, bright blue. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. It's a brighter blue. That's got it going on. And create a bit of that line, the division, the hard line around, kind of like a tracing of the bird. Just so that we can divide it up, separate it from the rest. I like to have a dark trace line around my items that I paint. Around here. Yep. Separate from that flower, from this flower. And I think you've got it done. I'm excited, and tomorrow it's going to look even more beautiful after it sits for 24 hours. And what do we do next? We sign it, date it, and hang it on the wall. Give yourself a huge round of applause. Congratulations, you are an artiste. Woo! It's been fun. Thank you so much for joining us on this watercolor adventure.